Hello and welcome yet to another interesting episode of People's Voice on iBrandTV. It is a show that offers you the opportunity to air your views on issues that affect us as a people and the society at large. Once again, I say welcome to the show. I am Joshua Okata.
And I am Samuel Okata, and it's nice to have you all on board on today's show.
All right, so realistically speaking, Nigeria in the last 60 years has experienced various forms of human rule, from military regime shortly after she first became a republic in 1963 to the separatist movement which formed the Republic of Biafra and down to the emergence of democracy. Despite the journey in the quest for the right leadership in politics, would you say Nigeria has ever experienced good governance? What makes for a good governance in terms of the rule of law and responsiveness to the plight of the people? And how can this be achieved and sustained? All these and more will form the basis for our roundtable discourse on the show today. So sit back and relax. I will be back in a moment. Please stay with us. Welcome back. The failure of governance in Nigeria manifests in the declining capacity of political leaders to recognize systemic risk such as election fraud, terrorist attacks, herder-farmer conflict, armed banditry, and police brutality, and put in place the necessary measures to navigate these challenges. In contrast with the current system in which leadership is attained through bribery, intimidation, and violence, Nigeria needs an epistocratic system of governance that is founded on the pedigree of its political leaders and the education of its voters. So, Sam, looking at all that has been enumerated so far, it's a whole gamut of issues, especially when it comes to a failed state. For instance, Nigeria as we speak. So, but what is your view on this?
Well, I really don't actually think the system of governance in this part of the world is the reason for a failed state, if you may ask me. I really don't think that. What I think we are not getting right, which has actually led to a failed state, is the fact that the electorate themselves are not well informed or educated as to who really should represent them in public offices or as leaders of this country. That's where I think the problem lies. Because if really the electorates are well informed or educated as to who really should be there to represent them, no matter the system of governance we have in this country, it would definitely augur well for us. But come to think of it the other way around. If, for example, a man is being led by his stomach, what do you expect? And I think that's the reason the politicians are really getting it right. Because this same situation I just narrated is actually playing out almost on a daily. And of course, what do you expect from these politicians? They are actually cashing in into the system or into those situations. Until we begin to realize what our problems is, or are rather, then we might be forced to blame the system and not the electorate themselves.
But fine, if you say the electorates are not informed, and then the elected, those who are representing us, are also cashing in on the situation as regards, people who are not informed, and then looking at their own angle to it too, stomach infrastructure, they're just after their own benefit and all of that. Would you not also look at it from the fact that the system itself has collapsed? I mean, the electioneering system, a place where, we do not in any way know if our votes really count. There is no electronic system that would say, okay, these are the number of people that actually voted. These are the age range of people who actually voted. Don't you think also that matters? Because when we're looking at election fraud, these are some of the issues that make certain people who are ill-informed and the electorate, the elected rather, taking advantage of this situation because there is no system in place that will checkmate all of this, and then they manipulate their way. Don't you think that also matters?
Yes, it matters. But like I said in my narrative, the system, yes, has failed, no doubt. Because even it is humans, the electorate themselves, were the ones that actually put those systems on ground. Is that not so?
Of course.
Obviously, if those systems have been put on ground to checkmate some ill practices, then why is this system not working? It means that it is humans, the electorate themselves, who are not actually doing what they ought to do for these systems to work. Because the systems can be there. It's also another thing for humans to work in line with the system.
Well, that is your...
Because both actually work hand in glove. If the systems are put in place to checkmate some things and you yourself, isn't disciplined enough to go in line with those systems, then definitely what do you expect?
Well, that's your own perspective. And we'll also get the perspective of the people because, of course, as you know, it's the people's voice. So let's head to the street right about now to get the pulse of the people as regards the subject matter. Please take a listen.
As you can see in Nigeria, number one, insecurity. When we are talking about this insecurity now, kidnapping here and there, I think we should have solution to that. That's number one. And number two, poverty. Understand? A graduate student being riding Marua or riding Okada, you understand? If government can provide work, you understand? If they can provide work for people, you understand? That's a good. And number two, security aspect. Because there was a time I heard on the radio that once a kidnapper kidnaps somebody and they are demanding that they should bring a sum of amount, if the person paid the amount, they are going to arrest the person. Please, are they kidnapping the governor or kidnapping the president? So these poverty people, so that is what we call poverty.
I expect a collaborative government, a government that has the people at heart and that is not tribalistic, that is all-encompassing, and that has passion for the citizens of the country. So I think that's what I expect of this any new incoming administration, and that is very, very key, because we see so far that we have different mixed feelings about and mixed reactions about this present government that is about leaving us, and the suffering is too much. As regards business, like for me now, I do business. You can hardly access loans, even as much as they promise you that it's easy, but the interest rates are so high. We are expecting one-digit interest rate, but for some of the banks, they give you double digits. So it's not easy. And we expect the government that has to start looking at how to grow the economy, because but now we are suffering, the economy is in disarray, and a whole lot of things have gone wrong. So, and that is why you see a lot of social vices around. You can see people even going to money rituals, which shouldn't be the case, So a lot of factors.
What we need from government is to create a job for young boys, because we don't have a job. You understand? Most of us here, we are graduate, but we don't have a job. You have no choice to go and collect this in 1.7. You will work and pay the person. When you pay finish, the keke now become your own. But if you cannot meet up, the person will collect the keke back for your hand. So boys are jobless. We need a government that will remember that the youth.
I hope and believe that the next government that will come will fail us. But I'm not seeing any credible candidates coming out. It's just a case of recycling government and recycling government. That's what we have been seeing. There's no new person. Security. Because without security, no government can thrive, no economy can thrive. Then two, the power sector. I just heard that they increased the tariff. Even so many companies are closing down because of the new tariff on power. I don't see the reason. Then three, people are suffering. People are even tired of the election. People don't even want to go out to vote because they feel voting is riding on their intelligence. They feel their vote doesn't count. They feel after voting, the election is already pre-planned. They feel the people over there just wanted to use them as numbers. At the end of the day, they put whoever they want to put there. That's how we see it.
And they should provide them job because they are suffering, no work, no job. Those riding the Marwa, Okada, they are seizing machine, seizing Marwa. What did they want them to do? Now they are seizing all these things from them. In the night, if you see what that's what they used to do in this place, it's too much. You'll be shedding tears. They don't want them to work, and there's no job. They are managing all those Okada. You see graduates riding Okada. It's not riding it with happiness, just because there's no job.
I want government to try and help the youth. At least I am here now, as in the work I'm doing, I don't even like it. So government should please, they should try and try to empower us, we youth. So we should know what is good and what is bad, because as we are now, we are just doing any work. If government should try and help us so that we will find something good doing.
All right, glad to have you back. You've heard the various views of the people on the street as regards what they think is a kind of governance system that they really want as a people. What kind of governance system do you want? Well, you can share your views with us by following us on all our socials at iBrandTV to get your views heard. So right now with us here is a guest. He is by name Mr. Obi Victor. He is a social commentator. Welcome to the show, Mr. Obi.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so you understand the topic we're discussing right about now, which is centered on good governance. Now, looking at the gamut of issues surrounding Nigeria that has led to it, being a failed state, what is your view about that? Let's start there first.
Okay, thank you for having me. I don't think Nigeria is a failed state yet. Yes, we have a couple of indications here and there.
Yeah.
Okay, that is currently pointing us towards that direction. But right now, we just have one more decision to get it wrong, and then we are plunged into officially a failed state. Okay, so I'm going to say categorically that the problem Nigeria has now is a leadership problem. We have a very working people, a very hardworking people, hardworking youth. And then we have natural resources at our disposal. We have a lot to exploit to make our nation a great one. Okay, but we have a leadership crisis.
Now, if you say we have a leadership crisis, and again, you're also saying that one more decision in the wrong, direction will plunge us into a failed state. Now,
I think so.
Looking at that narrative you painted, it seems to be that Nigeria is not a failed state. Now, if it's not a failed state, at what point has Nigeria ever experienced good governance? If there is, please explain.
Okay, in my opinion, I don't think, we as Nigerians, we often compare this government to that government, this administration to that administration in terms of what they bring to us in the name of leadership. Right. But I don't think the average Nigerian has come to ask himself, what does good governance really entail? All we do is compare and get relativity. Okay, we say this compared to this man did better. Okay, if this man did what I didn't know the man that came before him. That's why you are saying this man did. We just compare and contrast, but we don't have this view of what good leadership really.
So, at what point has Nigeria ever experienced good governance?
We've not experience good governance. We keep going from bad to worse, and all right. Let me
take you back, because in your narrative you said a couple of things. First and foremost, if I'm not wrong, you said
this country is blessed with hardworking youths. We are blessed with so much natural resource. And you also said that the only thing we're lacking is good governance. Now my question is, in your own perspective, what do you think as a good governance or a good, governing system, if I may put it that way?
Okay. Now, the first problem we have in Nigeria is galvanizing the people. The government, up to this point, up to this moment, the government has failed to galvanize its people. The country is supposed to work as a unit, but we have different forces tearing us in different directions. And if the government don't get it right at this point, in this very particular area, I don't think it can ever get it right anywhere, because you have to get the people to believe that there is a government, that there is a country. But the government has failed in getting us to believe that there is a country. Up to this moment, we're still debating if Nigeria is still a country, or if the constitution is still fair to some sections of the country or not. You see that? So the government has to work hard to get the people to think as a unit, to think as a nation. Now we're thinking from different,
Now, I think you've now gotten to a point where you are now tilted towards what I said earlier, that we are already, if not almost, going into a failed state. Why am I saying this? Just recently, the former Senate President, Bukola Saraki, alluded to the fact that Nigeria is gradually tilting towards a failed state.
That's true.
Given the situation of the country divided into various lines, ethnically, religiously, politically, and otherwise. Now, what are some of the factors? What are some of the factors that really led us to this point where the country is this divided?
Okay, so our politicians have really failed to understand the enormity of the divide in the Nigerian, ethnic and religious system. In fact, they really have downplayed that, and they are going for personal gains. That is why we came to this point. Okay, Nigeria is not the only country where we have different religions or different ethnic groups. Okay, America is one of the country that comprises some of the most diverse people from all parts of the earth. Okay, but we can see how the Constitution of America has, even their motto, "E pluribus unum," from many, one.
Don't we have a motto?
Our motto.
What is our motto, by the way?
Our motto
is it not peace,
unity,
and progress? So why are we not experiencing it?
We only say these things.
It's only existing paper.
On paper. Our government has failed to galvanize the people as a unit. That is the principal point of failure. And then every other thing, corruption, and the corruption even feeds from the division that they have created. Because when the corrupt leader from this section of the country says, this one is doing this, so I'll just do this in my own side of the country. Okay, I'll just take my own share. Nobody's even having, the country at heart. So at first, the ruling class don't treat the country as a unit. That is why we have myriads of problems, insecurity everywhere, lack of incentive in terms, lack of good economic policy, lack of, in fact, they have failed actually in understanding the nature of this country.
All right, now listening to you, you talked about the leaders failing in their own responsibility to really galvanize people, and like you said, that's why we're having so many civil unrest here and there. Now it is actually trickling down to the economy, because when the people are not functioning, the government itself is not functioning, it affects the economy. Now what's the effect really? Give us a little bit explanation of how this really affects the economy.
Okay, yeah, since we can't function as a whole, we make efforts that tend to cancel. We cancel ourselves out. You see, that's what it comes to, zero sum. I thought of it some days ago, and I said we're just doing a zero sum in this country. We
How do you mean zero sum?
Our efforts cancel out. You know, we should be working in
unanimously.
Yeah, we should be going in this direction, having a common goal of nation building. But currently, we are working in opposite directions, tearing the country apart. So we are not only withering down our efforts, we are killing the country.
Which means that the leaders are not actually there to champion our interest.
No.
Because if actually they are there to champion our interest or really to represent us, do you think the subjects, those whom they rule over, won't be in accordance with whatever they're doing?
Yeah, I think if they really had the aim of, building, if they had a picture of a country, of a great Nigeria, at first, ask an average leader, what do you see as a great country, Nigeria? What do you imagine as a great country? You will be baffled at the at the diversity.
Now, having said this, why do you think they still make this same effort, this same repeated effort to put the wrong people in the wrong places? If you think that they really understand what it means to have the right people in there.
Yeah. Like I said,
because you said the average man knows what he or she envisaged for a country,
exactly,
right? So why are they still making the same, repeated wrong efforts?
Yeah, because
or wrong actions, if I may use that word.
Good. Now, leadership. I will say this. Leadership is everything rises and falls on leadership. Okay. When JFK assumed the presidency of America, the country was, doing all sorts of, it was a Cold War anyway. But JFK came in and said, look, Russia is building a space program and they're doing good at it. We have to show the world that we are still,
relevant
in this field of space exploration. We have to come first and lead it. It's not just coming, first. We have to lead. And then between 1961 or 1957 and 1960 to 1969, the United States under JFK and then subsequently after he was assassinated, President Nixon, galvanized that dream. And in a span of less than 9 years, they put a man on the moon. He inspired the nation to a particular goal, and that goal galvanized the nation. Now, if you ask Nigerians, what leader has actually inspired us to greatness? Because now Nigerians are very, have you seen us play against Cameroon or Brazil? We are united. We want to win. We love victory.
Now, I see your activities on social media. You're very expressive.
Good.
And I know without asking you, you have, your preferred candidate, without even mentioning names.
Yes.
What, in your view, can be done to really salvage this country?
Yeah.
As long as we have not gotten to that point where we'll say, according to you, we've gotten to a failed state.
Yeah.
What do you think could be done?
Good. The
first, achieving it and sustaining
and sustain it. Good.
All right.
We have to get a leader that has a leadership idea that is not transactional.
How do you mean?
Up to this point, our leaders have, been transactional. The leadership system here is transactional.
Explain to the common man.
Okay. Now, you can imagine a process where you want to get a candidate. You have a candidate in mind.
Okay.
But what do I gain from this candidate? What do I gain?
It's after what you
gain. Every Nigerian is what you gain. The leader is also after what he or she will gain. That is why they loot.
So there should be common interest.
There should be a common interest. Okay. Now, I think my candidate, the candidate I have in mind,
without mentioning
names. Yeah, I'm not going to mention names here. The candidate I have in mind has to have a leadership style that is transformational.
Can you enumerate within a couple of minutes what you think can be done, especially when it comes to these, factors you're laying down?
Good. The first thing the leader has to do is recognize that this country is a very huge space.
Okay.
With people from different ethnic groups different religion. You have to appreciate that and take it as a strength. And then education. I will speak more about JFK. I reference JFK a lot. He's a president I admire as long as the American history is concerned. He educated the people.
So you're saying education is one of those?
You have to educate
What
the people.
kind of education are you talking about?
Good. Consciousness. People think education is only when you go to school and, university and get a degree. But people, whenever you align people's consciousness, you are actually educating them.
So what other aspect are you looking at apart from educating people now to their consciousness?
When you educate them, and they put their consciousness towards the line of nation building, genuine nation building, then you see them employment, create jobs, and then once people have what to do, once they have a target, you will see that we all want to win. The human mind is engineered to aspire to win.
That's fine. That's fine. Now we're actually pressed for time. But my question is, as we gear or go so close to the election in 2023, the major election, what's your outlook like?
Okay, good. My outlook is I think and I hope Nigerians know how deep in a quagmire we are, and know the consequence of what will happen, or the consequence of we getting it wrong 2023. We just can't afford to get it wrong. Nigerians should leave the transactional leadership style and look for a leader that has a transformational leadership style. We need transformation. We just can't do without it. Now take a look at what is happening. Young people are upping and leaving the country for search of greener pasture. You see people looking for student visas. Every other time we are applying for PhD in America, in Europe, to brain drain and the rest of that. We just can't allow that go on. We need a government that will transform this space and make it, conducive for young people to contribute.
Now, if going abroad, by the youths are actually what they aspire, what they really desire to want to do, and the government is talking about transformation, and the transformation does not align with their own thoughts or desires, don't you think there's going to be a disconnect somewhere?
Nigerians, I'm a Nigerian, of course. When people move, they say they're going for greener pastures. Okay, if you make Nigeria, a lot of Nigerians want to come home. I have friends in the US, or friends in the UK and elsewhere. They really want this place to work. They really want Nigeria to work. They really want Nigeria to work. They wish Nigeria can be what other people come to, what they can come home to. Spikes of insecurity here and there, and our leaders, looting and everything, corruption. Look at ASU being on strike for almost 4 months now. Who can do?
Anyway, that's a discussion for another time. Thank you so much, Mr. Victor, for coming on the show today.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, that was Mr. Victor, social commentator, sharing his views with us on the show today. Well, that's our offering for you today, and we do hope you've enjoyed every bit of it. If you by any means missed this week's episode of the program, you can catch a repeat broadcast on our YouTube channel at iBrandTV. Till we come your way same time next week, I am Joshua Okata. And I am Samuel Okata. Bye for now.